Every night, your brain completely cuts off contact with the outside world and traps you in a hallucination. For decades, researchers have debated a central question. Is this bizarre nightly show meaningless biological static, or is it a highly evolved survival tool? To find out, we have to look under the hood. We are dropping into a human brain right at the onset of rapid eye movement, or REM sleep. Look at the sheer volume of energy being burned right now. This scan maps the brain's electrical activity during a dream experience. That glowing area in the back, the posterior cortical hot zone, is firing almost as intensely as when the person is wide awake. An organ does not expend that kind of precious caloric energy just to rest. The brain is actively running a complex, resource-heavy operation. To run this operation safely, the brainstem flips a biological kill switch known as REM atonia. It temporarily paralyzes the voluntary muscles, ensuring the sleeper doesn't physically get up and act out the experience. Early researchers noticed that during this paralysis, the brainstem fires off chaotic electrical signals. The activation synthesis theory proposed that the higher brain, the cortex, is simply trying to weave a cohesive narrative out of this random biological noise. This specific theory led many early sleep scientists to dismiss dreaming entirely. They looked at the readouts and concluded that these vivid nighttime narratives were a glitch, nothing more than the brain's exhaust fumes. But raw signals alone do not explain the highly structured worlds we experience. The brain is working incredibly hard to organize this noise into a story, and from an evolutionary standpoint, it takes too much effort to be entirely useless. This chart shows the results of a famous memory study where participants practiced navigating a virtual maze, slept, and tried again. The data reveals that people who dreamed about the maze had a significantly higher success rate. The anomaly here is that they weren't seeing perfect security camera replays of their practice sessions. The dreaming brain deliberately scrambles the details, creating bizarre, shifting variations of the original waking experience. In computer science, training a network on the exact same data leads to overfitting. The system becomes rigid and fails when it encounters something new. By injecting random variations into the maze, the brain forces itself to find more adaptable solutions. The sleeping brain actively hacks its own memories. It corrupts the perfect replay to keep human intelligence flexible, rather than just storing raw, static data. This hacking process extends to your emotional memories. The brain specifically targets the embarrassing, socially awkward, or deeply painful events of the preceding day. This gauge represents the brain's levels of norepinephrine, the primary chemical responsible for stress and the fight-or-flight response. This level drops to absolute zero during REM sleep. With the anxiety chemical shut off, the brain creates a unique zero-stress environment. It pulls up new, painful memories and mixes them with older, safer memories, all without triggering a physiological panic attack. By decoupling the memory from the visceral chemical reaction, the brain acts as an overnight therapist. It strips the emotional sting away from the trauma, allowing you to face the next day without being paralyzed by yesterday's anxiety. Which brings us to nightmares. Why would the brain intentionally subject itself to terrifying, high-stress scenarios like being chased by a monster? Threat simulation theory suggests the dream space functions as a zero-risk virtual reality dojo. It provides an isolated environment used exclusively for practicing physical evasion and survival skills against predators. Modern simulations have adapted to our current environment. The brain swaps prehistoric predators for the social fallout of a failing grade or hostile coworker, rehearsing these interactions to prepare for real-world interpersonal conflicts. Nightmares and stress dreams are predictive training simulations. The brain forces you through the worst-case scenarios at night so you are equipped to survive them in the daylight. This diagram shows how these mechanisms intersect. We have overlapping goals for memory consolidation, emotional processing, and threat rehearsal. The brain accepts all these theories simultaneously. Dreams are the ultimate biological multitasker. Because the dreaming mind is hyper-associative, it freely connects seemingly unrelated concepts. This cross-wiring is what drives creative problem-solving and set-in-morning epiphanies. The bizarre nature of dreams is a feature, not a bug. By mashing up memories, intense emotions, and simulated threats into surreal narratives, the brain builds resilience for an unpredictable world. The sleep cycle is terminating. The brainstem is releasing its hold on the muscles, The stress chemicals are coming back online, and the morning alarm clock is about to ring. We need to leave. So the next time you wake up from a wildly confusing dream, take a second to consider the work. Your brain was just finishing its shift.